The federal government has expressed support towards the successful implementation of the World Trade Organization Share Program in Nigeria. And speaking while hosting a delegation from the WTO and the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, the Center for the Program, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, said, quote, "We are going to have a very busy 4 years," end quote. She said the program, which would commence at the next academic session, was a significant step towards the policy formulation, academic development and economic capacity building for Nigeria. A financial technology expert, Joshua Oguntade, joins us to look at this, just the whole digital landscape, not just in Nigeria, but also in Africa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon. So one of the things that people will usually say, first of all, before we even get to that, let me ask you how well you think we're doing in terms of the digital landscape in Nigeria. Have we been able to harness the opportunities?
Right. We've done a lot. We've come a long way, but as with most things, there's still room for progress. For example, in terms of the wealth creation that we've seen from technology in Nigeria, it's been outstanding. And with the rise of AI also, this gives us room for growth. And I'm really excited about harnessing this technology more in Nigeria in the coming decade.
And one of the arguments people, usually, make in this part of the country, part of the world, is that Africa has focused so much on regulation in terms of, the digital landscape, and not necessarily on fostering the necessary innovation that is needed to thrive in a global digital landscape. Do you agree with that argument? How would you react?
That is certainly true, right? An example I'll give you is when you look at it from a financial technology perspective, it's way easier for me to send money from London to Lagos than it is for somebody living in Cameroon to send money to Lagos, right? And a whole lot of these is because of the regulations that comes into like cross-border transfer. So there's definitely a lot of room for us to improve in terms of like innovation. But also when you look at it from the regulatory perspective, the way I like to think about it is like a good regulation is a necessary groundwork for innovation, right? But the way we need to look at it is like both the regulators and the innovators want the same thing, which is the good use of technology to grow our economy and to grow the country. And with that regards, it's imperative for the regulators to bring the innovators and the companies who are working on this on board so that we can make the regulations that is going to actually achieve this goal of growing the economies rather than stifle innovation.
And I just wanted to ask, where the gaps are, because I know that there are a lot of young people who are, very digital, inclined, and some of them are doing well personally. Others are struggling to come, into that space. Where are the gaps? What should government do, and what should individuals do?
Right. In terms of what the government do, the first thing is what we spoke about, which is in terms of like regulations, making the regulations like friendly for innovation. I think that's one of the first things that the government can help with. And another thing also is in terms of like the education, our education system. How do we raise the number of people who are scientifically and technology inclined? Right, that's one of the things that the governments can do for us. And from an individual perspective, I think right now, to a large extent, what we can see is the fact that how do we harness this power that we have called AI? How do we do the research, right? Government can do the research for us as an individual. It's up to us to also do this research ourselves. And when you think about things about financial inclusion also, one of the things we can think about from that aspect is also the fact that the government is working, especially with the CBN, is working with a whole lot of industries to make it easy for us to set up organizations. How do we come up with ideas that can also help us in harnessing this technology as an individual? That's things that we can do also.
So you mentioned something very interesting earlier. You talked about how it is easier for someone in London to send money to Lagos than from someone in Cameroon to send money in Lagos. And we know that the biggest thing now in the digital space is AI. And that's artificial intelligence. I was going to ask you how much we can rely on artificial intelligence in terms of securing our payments ecosystem, especially when it comes to fraud management in this era of cybersecurity? We see how the EFCC is struggling with that. What can be done?
Right. With the rise of AI, one thing you would agree with me is like there's a whole lot of things that AI can do that even the best humans can do, right? For example, when it comes to financial technology, there's a whole lot of data involved in this. And what AI allows us to do is AI can go and look for patterns and anomalies in this large data set that humans can do, right? When it comes to real-time detection of threats, these are the things that AI can do. But as much as AI can help us do these things, there's still a whole lot of things that humans needs to do, right? When it comes to like harnessing, making sure that the local context is applied, humans still need to do that. When it comes to like explaining these decisions that AI is essentially going to take, we need humans to do that. So the best approach between AI is, or using AI is essentially how do we come with an hybrid approach that takes leverages the power of AI and also the power of individuals to fight frauds and essentially make sure that the level of fraud that we experience is brought to the minimum, because essentially fraud can be eradicated. Even in the Western world, we still battle with fraud, but how do we bring it to the minimum?
Interesting conversation. Hopefully we'll make remarkable progress in a digital landscape as a country. Thank you so much for your time. Digital expert Joshua Guntade, a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.